Rizal's first trip abroad and his secret mission. He must get the best education he could find and answers his life's question. What could he do to help his oppressed motherland? He has to study in Madrid, but this plan was kept secret. May 3, 1882, Rizal left for the Philippines for the first time to Spain. Boarded on the SS Salvadora, bound for using a passport of Jose Mercado. May 9, 1882, SS Salvadora docked in Singapore. He stayed in Hotel de la Paz for 2 days. In Singapore, Rizal transferred to another ship, the Jimna, a French steamer, which left Singapore for Europe on May 11, 1882. May 17, 1882, Rizal arrived at Punta de Gales. Rizal wrote on his travel diary, "The general appearance of Point Gale is picturesque but lonely and quiet, and at the same time sad."
On May 1882, at 7:30 a.m., he left Punta de Gales for Colombo. In the afternoon, Rizal arrived at Colombo, and the evening the trip was resumed. On May 27, 1882, he landed at Aden at about 8:30 a.m. He made observation at the time. Aden, city hotter than Manila. Rizal was amused to see the camels for the first time. On June 2, 1882, he arrived at the Suez Canal en route to Marseilles. City of Suez, the Red Sea terminal of the Suez Canal. Rizal was impressed in the beautiful moonlight which reminded him of Calamba and his family. Suez Canal which built by Ferdinand de Lesseps, a French diplomat engineer, which was inaugurated on November 17, 1869. Port Said, the Mediterranean terminal of the Suez Canal.
June 11, 1882, Rizal disembarked and accompanied by a guide went around the city of Naples for 1 hour. This was the first European ground he set foot on. Rizal was pleased on this Italian city because of its business activity, its lively people, and its panoramic beauty. June 12, 1882, at 10 o'clock in the evening, the boat anchored at Marseilles. He slept in board. Rizal visited the famous Chateau, where Dante's hero of the Count of Monte Cristo was imprisoned. Rizal stayed 2.5 days in Marseilles. June 15, 1882, he left Marseilles for Barcelona in an express train. Rizal crossed the Pyrenees and stopped for a day at the frontier town of Port-Bou.
In June 16, 1882, at 12 noon, Rizal arrived at Barcelona and boarded in Fonda de España. Rizal's first impression of Barcelona, the greatest city of Catalonia and Spain's second largest city, was unfavorable. Life in Barcelona. He wrote an essay entitled Amor Patrio, or Love of Country. His next article was entitled Los Viajes, or Travels, and followed by Revista de Madrid, or Review of Madrid, but the latter was returned because the publication was ceased because of lack of funds. In August 20, 1882, his article Amor Patrio was published in Diaryong Tagalog, a Manila newspaper edited by Basilio Teodoro. This was the first article he wrote abroad. Amor Patrio, or Love of Country, is a nationalistic essay, Rizal's first article written on Spain's soil. Under his pen name Lawang Laan, it was published in 2 texts, Spanish and Tagalog. The Spanish text was the one originally written by Rizal in Barcelona. The Tagalog text was Tagalog translation made by M.H. Del Pilar.
September 2, 1882, Rizal moved into abroad in order to continue his medical studies. November 3, 1882, Rizal enrolled at the Universidad Central de Madrid in 2 courses, medicine and philosophy and letters.
Rizal's second trip. On February 3, 1888, Rizal left the Philippines half-sick and disillusioned. Zafiro, the vessel he ride on. The vessel arrived in Amoy, China, but Rizal did not land because of his frail health, the city's rainy weather, and the report that the city was dirty. While in Hong Kong, he met Jose Maria Basa and Balbido Marico and Marico Ayarte, who were former exiles from the Philippines because of the events in 1972. Senza de Veranda, a former secretary of Gov. Terrero that spied Rizal while was in Hong Kong. February 18, Rizal and Basa went to Macau, rode on a vessel called Cuca. Rizal also visited neighboring Macau, where he stayed from February 18 to 20. February 22, 1888, Rizal left Hong Kong on board the Oceanic. Japan on February 28, 1888. Rizal arrived at Yokohama on February 28, 1888. He stayed at the Grand Hotel. The next day, he went to Tokyo and stayed there from March 2 to 7. Later, he moved over to the Spanish legation on invitation of its secretary, Juan Perez Caballero. He accepted the invitation since staying with the Spaniards would save him money, and he believed that he had nothing to hide from them. Rizal was impressed with Japan's culture, the beauty of the country, plants, flowers, gardens, mountains, rivers, kimono, hospitality, gift-giving, politeness through bowing, few beggars on the street, few thieves, and clean houses. The Japanese are happy and industrious people. United States of America. Rizal boarded the English vessels Belgique on April 18, 1888. Rizal reached San Francisco on April 28, 1888, dubbed America as a motherland for the poor who wish to work. He described America as a great country, but it has many defects too. They do not have real civil liberty. When he was asked by Jose Alejandro about his impression of the country, he stated, "America is a land par excellent of freedom, but only for the whites. They experienced discrimination in America upon arrival, where they weren't allowed to disembark. Chinese passengers were even quarantined much longer on board." Rizal arrived in New York on May 13, 1888. He called New York the Big Town.
London. He lived in London from May 1888 to March 1889. He worked in British Museum, Library, studied and published Morga book. He wrote a pamphlet against Frei Rodriguez, La Visión del Frei Rodriguez, and other works, Letter to the Young Woman of Malolos. Paris, France. Too many tourists in the city, he stayed with Valentin Ventura. He visited the home of Pardo de Tavera, composed of the monkey and the tortoise. He finalized his copy of Morga book, which show evidence that the Filipinos were already civilized before the Spaniards came.
He planned to establish a college in Hong Kong with the help of Mr. Mariano Cunanan, who promised to help him raise 40,000 pesos. Unfortunately, it did not succeed, but when he was exiled in Dapitan, he was able to establish a boys' school. He left for Brazil. Belgium arrived on January 28, 1890.